We are in London today at Tate Modern to meet up with the Guerrilla Girls, who are currently operating a complaints department within the Tate Exchange space in the new Switch House building that opened this past summer. The Guerrilla Girls have invited the public to come join them in the gallery and post complaints about art, politics, culture, or anything you might care about. And the Guerrilla Girls are experts at complaining. They are an anonymous group of women artists who since 1985 have served valiantly as the conscience of the art world, using a wide variety of tactics to question and disrupt art world practices, and to expose sexism, racism, and corruption in our culture at large. They are also here in London revisiting their 1986 poster, It's Even Worse in Europe, with a new display at the Whitechapel Gallery based on questionnaires they sent to museum directors across Europe. They asked them about their representation of artists who are female, gender non-conforming, or from places other than North America or Europe. And the project aggregates these responses and shares new and revealing statistics. Playing upon the word guerrilla as in freedom fighter and gorilla the animal, the group members wear masks when in public, each choosing the name of a dead woman artist as a pseudonym. Today we're sitting down with Frida Kahlo and Kata Kollwitz, who are going to talk with us a bit about the art of complaining and prompt us to find our own ways to question the world around us.
Hi, we're the Guerrilla Girls.
And this is your art assignment. All right, so maybe basically a lot of us were complainers, but mostly because we saw so much injustice in politics, of course, but also in our own little world of the art world in New York City where we were artists. And we saw no opportunities for women artists and artists of color, and everyone was pretending that everything was okay. So we got this idea. Let's do something about it, and let's use some new media-savvy techniques to break through people's ideas that whatever they see in galleries and museums is the best, and which we knew so many great artists who weren't getting anywhere. So we decided to blame one group after another. We had this idea to do a new kind of political poster. We had a meeting in Frida's loft of a bunch of colleagues and friends, named ourselves the Guerrilla Girls, passed the hat around to pay to print the first posters, and the Guerrilla Girls were born.
It's more than pointing a finger at something and saying this is bad. We have to figure out a way to change people's minds about things. And we discovered that statistics do that, outrageous statements, and in the end, humor. If you can make someone who disagrees with you laugh, well, you kind of have a hook, in their brain. And once you're there, you just have an opportunity to change their minds.
Your assignment is to think of something you really want to complain about.
Then communicate your message in some unique, creative way.
So John, I really think that you should just sit and listen for this one.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So if we think back through art history, we can really see a lot of art as various forms of complaining. You can think about abstraction as a way that artists are complaining about the way things had been represented in the past. And, complaining is really protest. And then that widens our consideration to all sorts of art, historical painting that thinks about war or inequities. But in thinking about what moment in history we're going to talk about here, I couldn't help but realize that I had a very handy resource for this, the Guerrilla Girls' own book, The Bedside Companion to the History of Western Art. And I'd love to just read you the beginning. It says, "Forget the stale, male, pale Yale textbooks. This is Art Her Story 101. And I've actually selected one of the moments in art history, or art her story, for us to talk about today from the Middle Ages.
At the age of 25, Christine de Pizan found herself widowed with kids and a mother to support. She had been allowed an education, a rarity in medieval France, and became a copyist and writer to support her family. She achieved renown for her ballads, poems, and allegories, as well as her vociferous objection to the popular 13th century poem, The Romance of the Rose, which depicts women as wanton and immoral seductresses. She countered with her 1405 allegory, The City of Ladies, in which three women, personifying reason, rectitude, and justice, describe an entire city populated by strong, virtuous women throughout history. Told entirely by women and about women, her story used fashionable tropes and techniques to counter the prevailing narrative of women as illogical and inferior. Rooted in Christian morality, her work got away with its harsh critique of patriarchal society and highlighted women for their skills in discourse and peacemaking. Like de Pizan, the Guerrilla Girls have found their own mistressful way of complaining in their time. The question is, what's your way in your time, and how will you use the culture of now to voice your dissatisfaction and dissent?
All right, so everyone's always said to the Guerrilla Girls, you're just a bunch of complainers. So when we were invited to do this some kind of interactive residency project at Tate, it suddenly seemed like a really great idea. Why not let everyone else complain? You know, we are complainers. We consider ourselves, creative, kind of unique complainers, but it is what we do, and everyone has complaints. So we've invited anyone who wants to come to bring their complaints in, make their complaints, put them on the board, and it took about one day for all the places we have to put them to be filled up. And every day people are coming with more things that they just have to get off their chest.
It's kind of a riff off the old idea of complaints departments in department stores. In a way, it allowed the consumers to sort of complain. Well, we're allowing, the audience of this museum to, instead of come and be passive, to actually come and think critically about what they've seen, about what bothers them, and to really think about, how a lot of art comes out of complaints. It comes out of a very strong reaction to the world.
You can't really think of a complaint as one thing, one time in a vacuum. One thing we've learned is that if you do one thing, put it out there, if it works, you do one thing, you put it out there. If it works, you do another. And if it doesn't, you do another. So this is true for all of us. You can't expect one thing to make a difference. But if you keep doing it and keep chipping away, over time you can make a difference. Obviously, we have a unique way of trying to find a new idea about an issue, combine it with some weird things that don't really belong there, so you wind up thinking about it in a different way. But there's so many ways to complain. Try to stop people from complaining.
It's great to brainstorm with other people, identify a target, realize that you probably can't deal with a huge issue all at once. You can only deal with some small aspect of it. And then to think about who your target audience is, what would catch their attention, what would change their mind, and what components would change their mind. Usually, information is is a help, and if you can twist something around, you put out an outrageous headline, you back it up. And you try to do it in a way that you've never seen before. And then try it out on other people. Make sure that, you're just not convincing yourself. Let other people test drive it. Say, what does this communicate to you? Because sometimes being angry and complaining is a good place to start, but it's not a great place to end. You have to craft your message.
And I think reading the other complaints, looking at their complaints, thinking about what they complained about is going to have an effect. It's had an effect on me, and I've been complaining for years.